I can slap my son in the butt all I want.
Hello, my fellow concerned friends, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for showing up and watching and supporting me every single time I post. It genuinely means the world to me. You guys are probably noticing we got a different background. Once again, I have mentioned this in like the last 3 videos, but we moved. And you're probably thinking to yourself, didn't you like just move? Yes. I have an entire video talking about what happened in the month of May and the whirlwind and stressful time that it was. And I have put that on my second account. So if you guys are not subscribed to Danielle's Ramblings and you are interested in why this happened again and how it worked out, you can definitely go subscribe to that channel and watch that video. But the background is here to stay, and I am excited to decorate my space and my house that nobody can kick me out of. Woo! And if you are new here, hello. Thank you so much for clicking on my video out of all of these other videos you could have clicked on. You chose mine. I feel very appreciative. Thank you so much. I hope that you stick around and you get something beneficial out of my content today. I know I already have a trigger warning at the very beginning of this video, but as I like to do for those of you who maybe can't see the screen or you're not looking at the screen, I want to give a very clear verbal trigger warning just so that we all know what we're getting into, because I really feel like this is just such a disturbing situation that is happening right now. This is happening right now, and I genuinely believe that everyone watching this video will probably feel very triggered. So I just want to warn you of that. We are looking at a case of strangers confronting parents allegedly mistreating their child as a form of discipline. And then we later go on to see those parents getting online and justifying and defending their absolutely abhorrent behavior. I am going to be playing these videos. I do just want to let you guys know that the video that I'm going to be showing does not show any form of discipline to a child. The video that was recorded by this person was recorded after the confrontation had started. So I just want to let you guys know that we're in for a wild ride, and I hope justice is served. This situation and confrontation occurred at the Trader Joe's in Wilmington, North Carolina. So very local, and I actually wasn't even aware of it, until it blew up on TikTok, until I was scrolling and I scrolled across my friend Michaela's video where she had played like a clip of it, and I was like, what is going on? And then she went on to explain everything that she had to explain, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I actually am floored. I can't even believe that people would have this much audacity. So I went out of my way to go find the actual video, the full-length video, and I genuinely was not prepared to see such confidence defending such abhorrent actions towards an innocent child. The video that we're about to be watching together was posted on May 25th, 2026. So yeah, like a week ago in 2026 in public, and it was uploaded by the user Dr. Smiley Kylie.
I can slap my son. I can slap my son in the butt all I want. I put him down and I smacked him.
For you, attorney, filming too. Corporal punishment is allowed. First and foremost. How did he punch him in the butt? That doesn't make any sense.
I ain't walking away from you. I'm running.
Why are you walking away? Like,
we're gonna leave, okay?
Go
I'm
ahead.
allowed to discipline my son.
Go ahead, film. I'm videoing you too, honey.
I don't care if you video me. I never said anything about it. Protect yourself.
Because you guys are calling the cops over disciplining.
I can slap my son. I can slap my son in the butt all I want. I put him down and I smacked him.
For you, attorney,
We saw what else you did to him too, sir.
What else did I do? I
You
yelled
threw
at him.
him in the sea and you punched him in the chest. That's not
No, I
needed.
did not.
That's not needed.
No, I
You
did
got
not
3
punch him in the
witnesses.
chest.
You have 3 witnesses.
respond
Okay, I won't.
with your day, okay?
Have a wonderful time. Thank you.
What are you gonna do? Post that on TikTok or wherever the fuck?
I'll show the cops I don't have TikTok. And I don't hit my kids. I don't hit my kids. Bye. Bye, child.
Whoa, a child. What credentials do you have to tell us?
More than you. Bye.
And what are the credentials Dr. Smiley Kylie has? She's a mandated reporter. A mandated reporter. For those of you who may not know what a mandated reporter is, let me sum it up for you. Think like a coach, a doctor, a school counselor, a camp counselor, a teacher, somebody who is working in close proximity with children, you know, working with them a lot to guide them, educate them, teach them a skill. It doesn't matter. When you are a mandated reporter and you are around children, it is quite literally your legal obligation. Okay, this isn't even like a moral thing, like, you know, neighborhood watch. It is your legal obligation to report when you suspect a child is being harmed. It is your legal obligation, as in you will get in trouble if you do suspect harm and you say nothing about it. Now, before I go in talking about and commenting on the ridiculous things that were coming out of those people's mouths, I want to take a second and really acknowledge the bravery and courage, not only of Dr. Smiley Kiley, as well as the other strangers who chose to not stay silent, chose not to turn a blind eye, and publicly defend and stand up for a child who has probably never been stood up for before. It was so refreshing to see this video. It really wasn't. But to see strangers being bold and loud and saying what you're doing is wrong. That is so refreshing, because how often do we see videos like this where a bystander sees harm being done and is like recording like this? You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to intervene. They're recording it just to record it and maybe post it to be able to say, oh my gosh, internet, can you believe that this happened? And it would rarely go further than that, right? A lot of these people are not taking the time to call the police, make a police report. They're not taking the time to get CPS involved. It's for a viral moment and they don't intervene, so they further exploit a child's trauma under the guise of care and trying to spread awareness. It is truly sad, and I am so happy to see one of these videos where a child is being defended and it's not just being brushed under the rug. This is how all of us should respond. If we see something in public or at all where it seems like that child is being mistreated, that child is being harmed, it's better to be safe than sorry, right? You can say something, and if you're wrong, if you are wrong, you can apologize. But if you're not wrong, I couldn't imagine living with that guilt for the rest of my life simply because I let my ego and pride stand in the way of me trying to protect a child who I thought needed protected, but I didn't. So before we get into breaking down the video, let's take a look at the text on the screen. Trader Joe's, Wilmington, North Carolina. A quote from what that father said: multiple witnesses saw you punch him. Man drags his son across the parking lot, aggressively throws him into the car, winds up to spank him, and punches him in the chest. And yes, corporal punishment is legal here. In fact, it's legal most places. In fact, this might surprise a lot of you. To this day, corporal punishment is still legal in many schools across the United States of America. Like, teachers can do it in many schools. Does that mean that they do? I don't know. I'd be curious to know if you live in a state where that is legal for teachers to do that, or you've experienced that in like present day. I'd be really interested to know, because like I grew up elementary school in the early 2000s and I don't remember that ever happening. But yeah, it is legal. It is protected by law to be able to hit a child when they do something that you deem wrong. Essentially, what I gather from the laws when I read laws on corporal punishment, and it really doesn't matter what state's laws I'm reading because it all to me kind of reads the same, is that you can physically discipline your child, corporal punishment, as long as it's not like unreasonable. Like, as long as you're not leaving bruises or cuts or causing physical injury that we can see. You know, the mental impacts, you know, I was spanked and I'm fine. People are just too soft nowadays. When the reality is, we have science, we have the internet that you can type in, is spanking good or bad? And you will get countless things coming up that talk about how detrimental not only spanking, but corporal punishment in general is to a child's development. And get this, it doesn't change the behavior long term. It is a temporary quick fix. What we're about to read is from the World Health Organization on corporal punishment of children and health. Newsflash, they don't say it helps. I'm not going to read you guys the entire article because reading out loud is really tricky for me, but I will have this in the description down below. And I highly encourage, especially parents, to read this through, and anybody read it through, because it's really good information and information that should be spread far and wide so that people stop doing this. But if you are going to be reading along with me, I want you to look at the section called Consequences. Corporal punishment triggers harmful psychological and physiological consequences. Children not only experience pain, sadness, fear, anger, shame, and guilt, but feeling threatened also leads to physiological stress and the activation of neural pathways that support dealing with danger. Children who have been physically punished tend to exhibit high hormonal reactivity to stress, overloaded biological systems, including the nervous, cardiovascular, and nutritional system, and changes in brain structure and function. Despite its widespread acceptability, spanking is also linked to atypical brain function like that of more severe abuse, thereby undermining the frequently cited argument that less severe forms of physical punishments are not harmful. A large body of research shows links between corporal punishment and a wide range of negative outcomes, both immediate and long-term. And now we are going to read those together. Direct physical harm, sometimes resulting in severe damage, long-term disability, or even death. Indirect physical harm, including developing cancer, alcohol-related problems, migraine, cardiovascular disease, arthritis, and obesity that continue into adulthood. Mental health issues, including behavioral and anxiety disorders, depression, hopelessness, low self-esteem, self-harm, and attempts, alcohol and drug dependency, hostility, and emotional instability, which continue into adulthood. Impaired cognitive and socio-emotional development, specifically emotional regulation and conflict-solving skills. Damage to education, including school dropout and lower academic and occupational success. Poor moral internalization and increased antisocial behavior. Increased aggression in children, adult perpetration of violent, antisocial, and criminal behavior, increased acceptance and use of other forms of violence, and damaged family relationships. Is it worth it now, parents who spank? Is it worth it to these parents who are proud of spanking and happy to justify and defend their actions while also minimizing and downplaying the other things they did besides just simply slap his butt? Which, by the way, I want to know, for those of you who hit your children because you think that's teaching them something, even after listening to something like that, why are you so uncomfortable with calling it spanking? Why do you guys have to say popping, smacking, slapping, tapping? Like, call it spanking. In fact, I have a better word for you. I hit my child. I open hand hit my child. I hope it lands on the rear, but I open hand hit my child to correct that behavior. How about I open hand hit you to correct your behavior? You know what's so crazy? What's so crazy is that if I was in that parking lot and I saw that happening and I decided to be like, you know what? How about I take you by your arm and drag you across the parking lot to my car, and then I'm going to throw you in my back seat? Yeah. And then I'm going to punch you in your chest to pin you to the back seat while I get ready to smack you. I would go to jail. I'd go to jail happily, but I'd go to jail. Isn't that kind of weird to you? Isn't that kind of weird that children are the only group of people, at least in the United States, I'm just talking about the United States of America. Egregious things are happening everywhere, but I'm talking about in the United States of America, children are the only group of people that you are legally allowed to hit as many times as you want, anywhere you want. You want to pop your kid in the mouth? Okay. You want to smack their hands, smack their legs, smack their foot, give them a pop up the back of their head? That's fine. It is completely legal to do that. And parents love to hold on to that. Parents love to hold on to the corporal punishment is legal. It's legal. It's legal. You want to know what else is legal in the United States, and specifically 33 states here in the United States? You're never going to believe this unless you already know it. Hold on to your seats. Because all of our morals are defined by legality, right? Hold on to your seats, because guess what? In 33 states in the United States of America, you can marry a child. That's right. And there are even some states that have no minimum age requirement. Let me read you those states. California, Mississippi, New Mexico, and Oklahoma have no minimum age requirement for a grown adult to marry a child. Got a problem with it? No? Because it's legal? Oh, all of a sudden our morals aren't negated by legality, right? Oh, now all of a sudden we can agree that there are some laws that just should be not laws anymore. Laws should be outlawed. What do you mean in 33 states in 2026 you can marry a child? That's why I do what I do. And there are a lot of people who don't even know that fact. And a lot more should. Because every single day, there is a child being essentially given to a grown man here in the United States of America, and it's legal. We look at child brides in all of these other countries, and we look at it with horror and disgust, and yet it's right in your backyard, and it's legal. So are we living our life around what the law says, or are we striving to change the law to protect children? Because it should be the latter. Now, before we move on and watch their video that they made to justify their form of discipline, I want to show you guys one more piece of evidence that hopefully will convince you and show you that there are literally no positives to using physical discipline to teach your child a lesson or get them to stop doing something. And get this, you guys are going to be floored when you learn the reason that this had to happen. You guys are going to be floored to the ground. But before we move on and watch their absolutely deplorable video, I do have one more piece of evidence for you, and this is from Harvard. I, again, will have this linked down below in the description, and I reference this a lot because it's really good. The effect of spanking on the brain. Research has long underscored the negative effects of spanking on children's social emotional development, self-regulation, and cognitive development. But new research published this month shows that spanking alters children's brain response in ways similar to severe maltreatment and increases perception of threats. The findings are one of the last pieces of evidence to make sense of the research of the last 50 years on spanking, says researcher Jorge Cuartes, a PhD candidate at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, who co-authored the study with Katie McLaughlin, professor at the Department of Psychology at Harvard University. We know that spanking is not effective and can be harmful for children's development and increases the chance of mental health issues. With these new findings, we also know it can have potential impact on brain development, changing biology, and leading to lasting consequences. The study, Corporal Punishment and Elevated Neural Response to Threatened Children, published in Child Development, examined spanked children's brain functioning in response to perceived environmental threats compared to children who were not spanked. Their findings showed that spanked children exhibited greater brain response, suggesting that spanking can alter children's brain function in similar ways to severe forms of maltreatment. The study looked at 147 children, including some who were spanked and some who were not spanked in the beginning years of their life, to see potential differences to the brain. By using MRI assessment, researchers observed changes in brain response while the children viewed a series of images featuring facial expressions that indicate emotional response, such as frowns and smiles. They found that children who had been spanked had a higher activity response in areas of their brain that regulate these emotional responses and detect threats, even to facial expressions that most would consider non-threatening. Perhaps surprisingly, says Cuartes, spanking elicits a similar response in the children's brain to more threatening experiences like You see the same reactions in the brain, Cortez explains. Those consequences potentially affect the brain in areas often engaged in emotional regulation and threat detection so that children can respond quickly to threats in the environment. Preschool and school-age children, and even adults who have been spanked, are more likely to develop anxiety, depression disorders, or have more difficulties engaging positively in schools and skills of regulation, which we know are necessary to be successful in educational settings. And I will add to that, in any setting. Any setting, educational, career, just being by yourself, being able to know what you're feeling and how to deal with it and know that you're okay or know when you're not okay is essential in all settings. And it's parents who are taking that away from their kids. Freaking disgusting. While we tend to think of spanking as an outdated practice, it's still an incredibly common form of discipline used among parents and even in schools, despite the research linking the practice to negative results. There are only 62 countries, not including the United States, with a ban on corporal punishments, Cortez points out. Additionally, nearly 1/3 of parents in the United States report spanking their children every week, often to detrimental effects and implications. The end of the article goes over 3 steps to eradicate spanking in schools and homes, and they are as follows. Recognize that spanking is not an effective tool of discipline in the classroom or at home. You guys can read the rest if you want. 2, work to eradicate forms of violence in the home and school environment by pushing for policies that can make corporal punishment illegal in the world. Okay, so I don't care that it's legal. We have the power to change it. We have to stop walking by. We have to stop keeping our mouths shut and just accept that that's the law. That's how it's always been, because we can get to a point where it is a severe crime to even think of raising your hand to a child, just like it is if you do that to an adult. And number 3, provide better support to families. And yeah, that's great if the families want it. Families like this, they think they got it all figured out. And we're about to see this because they're freaking proud of it. They can have the entire internet tell them how it's wrong and show them evidence on how it's harmful. And this is their response. And I just have to say this too. Something a lot of people do that drives me insane. Like when somebody's like caught, found out, they'll just say something like, well, I don't care what the internet has to say. It's just the internet. Just the internet. That's real people, by the way. The internet is not just a bunch of robots. You might as well be standing out in town square, and I promise you, we would all be there screaming at you the same, dude. It's just easier to see how horrible of a person you are, and you don't like that you're being told by a lot of people who would never harm a child that you're dead wrong. Just listen to this. Listen to why this even had to happen, in their opinion, in the first place. This is seriously so wrong.
The people that abused the kids allegedly at the Trader Joe's in Wilmington, North Carolina, made their account private. But for everybody that didn't get to see it, in case you were wondering, this is their excuse for putting their hands on a child. Ice cream. Yeah.
Hi there. We're the alleged child abusers. I'm Victoria. This is my husband, Nick. I say alleged because this woman is making these allegations that are not true. In North Carolina, which is where we live, you're allowed to spank your child, and that is what happened. I didn't. My husband spanked our son.
I could run you through the whole story.
Yeah, okay. First of all, she wasn't there. Okay, they're gonna get into this, but notice the we, and also I want you to pay attention to her body language throughout this. Maybe I'm like reading too much into this, or I'm just trying to like play psychologist, but to me, it really feels like he is loving this. He loves having that kind of power and control and dominance over a helpless human being, probably because he's never felt powerful ever. And the only way he can feel good about himself is by making other people feel small and bad and scared. He seems very proud of it, in my opinion. She, on the other hand, girl, I feel like you're on the fence. Like, to me, it feels like she's trying to like justify it to herself. Like, you're still wrong, because why are you defending him? Dude, if I walked out of a store and there were strangers around my husband accusing him of that, I would have been on the phone with the police myself. You can investigate it. I'm here to support my kids. investigate it. I'm not taking any chances. So yeah, you're still in the wrong because you're still choosing. You're still choosing to just follow him and do whatever he says. And I think it's really gross.
Yeah, the whole story.
Before we went into Trader Joe's, we had a conversation with my son.
About ice cream.
About
We were
ice
gonna go
cream.
get ice cream. We had left. We had a family day at the aquarium, and we were going to go get ice cream. But first, we were stopping at Trader Joe's. And my son was upset that we stopped at Trader Joe's first because he wanted, as any 5-year-old, not the baby that's in the video. That child has never been spanked. She's a baby.
So when do they stop being babies? At what age is it appropriate to finally lay your hand on a child? And then at what age does it stop being appropriate? That's what I want you to explain to me. Because people do spank their babies. People do spank their babies. In fact, there is a relative within my in-laws who had a child, and I remember when that child was like 9 months old, it was being too fussy during a diaper change, and the parents literally came out of the bedroom and was like, yep, he just got a spanking. A 9-month-old. A 9-month-old. So in those people's opinions, 9 months old is old enough to be physically disciplined. I am curious to know, because that's just a baby, how old do you start hitting your kids then? What is the magical number? Can somebody tell me what the magical number is, where like the range, right? Because there's a range, because you can't keep hitting your kid, right? Because then you'll go to jail. If you keep hitting your kid, you'll go to jail. What is the magical range where it becomes acceptable and then it is not acceptable? Or is it just from home to home whenever you feel like it? This is the most ridiculous, like, this is what I mean when I say justifications. 5, by the way, 5, okay? Like that makes it any better? It's a human freaking being from 0 days old until 100. There is a spectrum on how much they can communicate, and there is a spectrum on how much they know or remember, and how they can communicate what's going on in their body, their desires, they're being confused. All of this over ice cream is crazy. Crazy, all of this over ice cream. Y'all were being the bigger babies than your 5-year-old, dude.
He got upset like any 5-year-old would that we stopped at Trader Joe's, and he wanted to go straight to ice cream. And we tried to explain to him, like, hey dude, just chill. We have to grab a few things and then we'll still go get ice cream. I put in those delicious Trader Joe sandwich cookies, that sandwich ice cream cookies, in the cart, and he freaked out. He was like, oh my gosh, are those the ice creams we're doing? And I'm like, no. And he threw a temper tantrum. And then my husband walked out.
So then I removed my son from the store. I took him across the parking lot. I had a conversation with him halfway through the parking lot that we are going to go to the car. As we had a conversation beforehand, before we went into Trader Joe's, I told him that if something happens and you throw a temper tantrum, we're going to have to come to the car and we're going to have a conversation.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I have kids, dude, and they have broken down in the store before, and it's humiliating. It is humiliating. That's what I do too, okay? I take them to the car. I wait for my husband to get done shopping with the other children while I sit in the car, and we talk about it, or I just hold space, cry. You're really mad. Yeah, you're frustrated in this situation. He's confused. You said ice cream. He's expecting to go somewhere with ice cream first, because we have to remember, children have different levels of like awareness and expectations and like understanding timelines than you do. I can't believe I have to tell adults that. I don't understand how people have kids and then look at a baby and then see them turn into a toddler and then a small child. And then all of a sudden, as soon as they look like a small child, all of a sudden they have the intellect as you, and they should just understand everything the same way as you. He is confused. He sees Trader Joe's. He's already like, bro, you said that we were going to get ice cream. He thinks that you're lying to him. You know that you're not lying to him, but he thinks that you're lying to him. And then you tell him, no, we're not getting ice cream here. We're going after. But then you put in ice cream sandwiches into the cart, further making him feel like you're trying to lie to him. You're trying to trick him. Of course he is going to melt down. The best thing that you can do in that situation is take him to the car, hold space, let him be angry, reassure him like, dude, it's okay. This is confusing. This is frustrating. And when things are settled down and calm to where you can hold that conversation, level. Explain. They may not like it, but they will understand. I find it so sad that he says that they had this whole conversation that this is the expectation. This is what you, child, can expect from me as your parent if you mess up. If you throw a temper tantrum in the store, we are going to sit in the car and have a conversation. That's the expectation that was placed in that child's mind. And that is allegedly not at all what happened. Is that because a child escalated the situation? Or is it because the parents have so little emotional regulation and control that they're setting such a terrible example for their child? No wonder the child had a temper tantrum in the middle of the store. Look at what you're doing.
I brought him to the car. I placed him on the passenger seat. I smacked him once in the butt. Spanked him
Sorry,
once.
we gotta watch our words here. Smack, slap, like he got a pop in the butt.
Open
okay?
hand,
Open hand,
slap in the butt.
No marks were left. Nothing crazy. Like this lady was describing something like this. Like y'all look up the front seat of a Honda Odyssey. There's not room for all these activities that this woman said was happening. Like that's kind of like the bizarre part of. I don't know.
In the whole, well, we left no marks, nothing crazy like that. What's crazy is hitting your child because you're embarrassed or you don't like how loud it is or you don't have the patience for it anymore. That's crazy. Okay, in the first place. And once again, going back to corporal punishment and the muddy laws that just shouldn't even be there in the first place, ban it. Because it is a fine line we're walking. And then we get cases like Gabriel Hernandez, and then everyone's shocked. How did this happen? Why are we allowing physical punishment in the first place? If we took it seriously, then every single parent who hits their children would be investigated and under a spyglass just to make sure, and that's how it should be.
Anyway.
So I put my son in the passenger seat. I closed the door. I went around to the driver's seat. We had a conversation, de-escalated the conversation. I told him to go gently. I told him to go walk to your car seat. I did not throw him in the car seat,
like,
through the center console.
From the passenger seat through like the little center console thing to his car seat. Nobody threw anyone. Like, this is where I imagine this lady assumed I punched my son in the chest. I would never do that in my life. That could kill a child. That's insane. I love my children to death, and I would do anything to harm them.
I would do nothing to harm them? Buddy, you threw a bigger temper tantrum than your 5-year-old probably did in the store, defending your bad behavior, just like a child defends theirs. Just like when a child gets caught doing something wrong and they know they're going to get consequences for it and they start freaking out, no, and coming up with all of these defenses and excuses and justifications, and they're getting louder and louder and angrier. Sound familiar? And then you laid hands on him. That's harm.
But in my eyes, this was something that, you know, the temper tantrum that he threw, this was something that we talked about previous with him in the car before we went into Trader Joe's, that, you know, if something happens at Trader Joe's, we're going to have to go to the car and have a conversation. Like I said, I did spank him in the butt one time. That was it. Left no marks. I checked afterwards.
I left no marks. I checked afterwards. The fact that you have to say you had to check to make sure you didn't leave marks on your child's body, and you're just saying that casually. Like, can you actually hear yourself? Is this really how you want to treat your baby? I don't care that he's 5. That's your baby, dude. And that's your justification? As long as I check him and I don't see marks, it's fine. The WHO article, the Harvard article. And parents like this will read that. Mental illness isn't a thing. All that emotional stuff, you can just move past it. Oh my gosh, it's not even really affecting you. I was spanked and I was fine. You weren't. Like, you are not fine. Like, look in a mirror. Your cognitive development has been stunted by your own physical punishment as a child because you are still stuck there emotionally. You do not know how to regulate because your parents did not teach you, and now that's what you're doing to your own kid. Are you proud of yourself? Do you like looking like an aggressive, mean, out of control man? And if that's how you're acting in public, I can't imagine your rage at home. I know 5-year-olds, they can be testy. Oh, they can be testy. I would hate to see how he handles that. I would hate to see how he would handle his 5-year-old slamming the door shut because he's frustrated. Because I'll tell you what I do. That's what I do. It was a one moment thing. One slam of the door is not going to break anything. They're very clearly frustrated. I'll give it a few minutes and I'm going to go talk to them. I would hate to see that same scenario in their home.
So after the whole situation, I guess somebody tapped on the window. I was inside, mind you, I was inside with our baby.
Someone tapped on the car and said that the manager might be calling the police, and I said, okay, that's fine. I'm just disciplining my son the way I saw fit.
I came outside after he called me with our baby, and that's when the woman, she was yelling that we were child abusers while I was walking up. And I walked up and I said, hey, can you stop? This is unnecessary. You are making allegations that aren't true. And she started, screaming and saying that he did this and calling us child abusers. And that's when I lost my temper and I said, what proof do you have of this? You're just saying these things, but my son is inside. He at this point, he's not crying. He's not showing signs of a child that just got punched in the chest.
Number one, he's probably not crying because he's watching his parents throw an even bigger temper tantrum in the parking lot. So he's probably thinking to himself, dang, why did I just get hit for that? And they're doing the exact same thing. I'm so confused. Here's something one of my kids said to me one time that was very, very, very humbling. I had corrected them on a behavior and they looked at me and said, Mom, we're just copying you. Remember, kids copy mommy and daddy. And I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, I need to correct some behavior. That's what I need to do. You are totally right. But he's copying you, you guys. Can't you see that? Of course not, because these are the kind of parents who think that they control everything. Their children are their property that they can do with what they please. And then whenever those kids turn 18 and want nothing to do with them, they're going to be so angry. Oh my gosh, we did everything for you. We took you to the aquarium. That's going to be the stuff that parents like this use to be like, I don't know why my kids don't talk to me. I'm such a good parent. And what do you mean he doesn't look like a kid who just got punched in the chest? A little trigger warning for you guys. My stepdad held me down in my bed by my throat until I almost passed out. Forced me to stand up and wobble out of the room so I could go do the dishes that he wanted me to do. And then as I'm wobbling out of the room, because I just now got air in my lungs again, he then pushed me against the wall, once again by my neck, and choked me there as well. When he was done, I was wobbly again, and I was walking to the kitchen where he shoved me over a baby gate. And during this whole thing, I did not cry. Not one single tear. I was stone cold face, dissociating. And after he shoved me over the gate, I went and I did the dishes. And it never got brought up again. Water under the bridge. Does that justify it? Does that mean it didn't happen because I didn't cry? Or I didn't look like a kid who just got strangled by their stepdad? They have to jump through the highest hoops, through the craziest loops to defend this behavior.
I don't know, it doesn't make any sense what this woman is saying. If I had any doubt of what was happening and if I believed that my child was punched in the chest, I would have been like, hey, can you tell me more about what you saw? I trust my husband, but you never know. He would never do something like that. But I would have, as a mom, asked, hey, what is happening? Why these allegations?
It's not about if you think your husband would really do that. It's about what did your kids say? What are strangers who get nothing out of lying about you? What are they saying? You should just investigate, Period. End of story. I didn't get justice. My mom is still with my stepdad and defends him to this day because she knows him. She knows him. So I must be over exaggerating. I must be lying. It's not something she needs to investigate, right? Because she knows her man. So if her man tells her, well, yeah, I did it because of X, Y, and Z, or no, I didn't, she's going to believe him. That's her man. Why would she believe anybody else?
When I walked past the van around to where the lady was, my son was sitting in there just looking. And I told her, I was like, you're making these accusations over what? And so we got in the car and we were about to drive off, but I said, you know what? She said she's calling the cops. Let's move across the parking lot and wait for the police. Like, we have nothing to hide. We didn't do anything that is abusive to this child. Let's just talk to them so they can look at him. They can make their decision. They are law enforcement. They're the professionals in a situation like this. And they did. They took her information. She made a report, and said whatever, and said she was a mandated reporter, which that's great. Thank you for reporting a situation that you thought was needed to be reported. Anytime you allege child abuse, you know, that's the right thing to do.
I think we would do the same thing.
When would you do the same thing though, dude? When you see a kid in the back of a van and it looks like the father or mother has shoved them back and then you see a hand go up, are you going to do something then? You know, because you're on the same moral ground as a mandated reporter? Or are you going to look at that situation and be like, kids, right? Am I right? Parenting is so hard. Am I right? Don't say that you would do the same thing. Because you are doing the thing that makes people do that thing. What are you talking about?
I think, yeah, I would do the same thing. So I can't blame her for that. And that's why we went back and we talked to police. Police talked to our son, inspected him, said, you know what? These are the police's words, not mine. Oh,
sorry.
This is a case of somebody blowing things out of proportion. Those were what they said, and as a matter of fact, one of the female officers that was there, she came up to him and jokingly said, straight to jail, Dad. Like, you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing here that is criminal.
Thank you, justice system. Oh my goodness. Isn't it a known fact that the justice system never fails children? So if a police do a 5-minute investigation and talk to a child really quick in the heat of the moment where that child's really uncomfortable and probably feeling a lot of pressure to say the right thing, that's enough. They never get that wrong, guys. They never get it wrong. Investigations always go exactly right. So yeah, of course, they're completely justified in being like, yep, we did nothing wrong. Even the police said, straight to jail, Dad.
The problem we have is that you guys are only hearing half of the story.
Not the full
You're not hearing
story.
our side of the story.
CPS is involved because, a police report was made. She reported it to CPS, and CPS is doing their job, which I'm very thankful that they're doing their job, because if this was a situation of child abuse, it is only right for a child for them to do a full investigation. They're investigating us, and they came out and they talked to Nicholas, and they are doing their job, and we are complying just like we complied with law enforcement that day. So really, the threats, the name calling that we're receiving is very uncalled for.
Comments on our Facebook, comments on our Instagrams, it's ridiculous.
We understand that people have different views when it comes to disciplining children, and you have every right to believe that, and I respect that. But at the end of the day, I have different views on something that you might have a different view on, and I respect that. And it doesn't give me the right to harass you on, whatever the case may be.
We get it. You have different views. We get it. We're saying that it's wrong and you need to go to jail if you're not willing to change, dude, because your views is that my children are not human beings worthy of respect until some magical number that I guess will come to me when I feel like really bad for hitting them at that point. Like, that's not a difference of opinion. You're a bad person who's unwilling to change.
So we just would like to share our story and not be berated by a bunch
It's very
of people.
important for everyone to hear on the internet both
Not to
sides of the
mention-
story.
Not to mention, which is like, congrats, woman. You shared and you reported what you thought was child abuse, but you also shared my child's face on social media and exposed her to thousands of people. I don't even want to know how many views are on that, because my child's face wasn't even covered. Like, it's one thing for me or him or our family to share our children, but for a complete stranger that we don't know to share, that's just crazy. So yeah, we just wanted to share our story and give you guys an update on the full story and how everything is unfolding.
We have raised 2 beautiful, healthy children that we
And
love
they live
so
a
much.
very nice life.
A very nice
I promise
life.
you. Nobody here is being abused. Nobody is.
We had just spent
in
the
danger.
entire day that day at the
We had a great
aquarium.
day. And it was
It's just, you know,
it was ruined by
it's a classic case of
a situation.
misinformation from someone and spreading false rumors about. Now, I understand that at some point when my son maybe got into his car seat that she may have seen me punch him in the chest. I would never do that. That's not something I would ever
May
do
have
to my
seen
son.
you.
That is something that could
No.
potentially, you know, end the life of a child. I would never do that. All I did was,
And our son, you know, we're not gonna include him in this video because that's not
it's not appropriate.
appropriate. He's
We would
5
never
years
show
old.
our
that's
child like
not-
that.
That's not appropriate for him. But if we did, he would probably even say like, yeah, no, that didn't happen. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I hope this clears up some misinformation.
They do have a fair point there. It is unfortunate that Dr. Smiley Kylie did leave the child completely unblurred, uncensored, and Dr. Smiley Kylie did come on and make another video kind of answering some questions, going over exactly what she did to report and, you know, going through CPS, and she also talked about her deep regret with having shared the child's face online because she didn't know how to blur it.
Hi everyone, I did just want to come on here and make a follow-up video. I didn't originally plan to post a follow-up because I thought I had been very thorough in my caption, but I see that there have been some questions that have come up that I want to answer and just a couple things that I personally want to clear up. Firstly, this incident did occur on Memorial Day, and myself and the other witnesses did make a report to the police on the scene. I also did place a call with DSS by myself afterwards just because I am a mandated reporter. Now for the questions, let me just go reference my notes real quick. Okay, so the question of why I waited a couple of days to post after Memorial Day, the answer is that 1, I wanted to make sure that I was within my legal rights to post the video and speak to a lawyer first, and then 2, I didn't want to affect the investigation in any negative way. Okay, to answer the question of why I posted the video, the answer is that I wanted to help people. And I understand that that might seem like a complicated answer, but as somebody who hasn't posted on any form of social media in years, I thought that if I could help create a public discussion around this, then maybe it could lead to some changed behavior from the family. I also thought that if I could post this and inspire somebody to not fall victim to the bystander effect, then I would be helping somebody. I've seen plenty of videos of skits that have inspired me to speak up in one of these situations, and this is the first situation of many where I have spoken up in that I have a video of. So I thought that I could inspire somebody by posting this. I truly thought that if I ever posted anything on TikTok, it would be physical therapy content in some way to help people, but I realized that this type of content could help people too. I probably won't use this app anymore going forward just because it's been extremely overwhelming, and like I said, I haven't been one to post on social media in any form in years. I will think about whether or not I could possibly help people with physical therapy or similar content, but there's already enough out there, and quite honestly, this response has been extremely overwhelming. So I will think about it, but I will continue to address the concerns from this situation before deleting the app if I do choose to do so. I genuinely believe that the best things that I have done in this life and will do in this life will be to help people with physical disabilities, mental disabilities, and children. So my point in posting this was to be the voice for the child. I also did want to confirm a few more things about what actually happened at the situation before I get off of this app. So at the scene, my partner and I pulled up as the situation was happening. We saw him get dragged through the parking lot. We saw him get thrown into the car. We saw the dad take his hand all the way behind his head to spank the child, although it didn't seem like the child was fully turned over at that point. I won't argue with that. Let's go to when the dad got into the car. He started screaming in the child's face. He then took a closed fist and punched the child in the chest to pin him back up against the seat like that. And then he did throw the child into the back seat. As this was happening, my partner and I reacted. We said, "Oh my gosh, he just punched him." Then, as we were getting ready to get out of the car, the other man that we do not know came up to his window and he said, "Sir, the manager's calling the police for the way you dragged him out of the store, and I just saw you punch him in the chest, so I'm calling the police too." Of course, we're kicking ourselves for not thinking to record, but it all happened so quickly. So the next thing I decided to do was to take a picture of the license plate while the other man went to his car to call the police. We then followed that man over to his car in case we needed to talk to the police while that man was on the phone with the police. That's why it looked like we knew him, but we had never met him before in our entire life. At that point, I was taking pictures of the man because I thought that he was going to leave while the police were on their way, so I just wanted to get an accurate description of him. I didn't even know that there was a wife to be coming out, so I didn't think that he was going to stay. He obviously stayed because he was waiting for her, and then when she came out, she immediately started defending what he did without having seen it. She saw me taking pictures, and I guess in me taking pictures, she thought that I was recording, and she said that she was recording me. I didn't think that I'd have any storage on my phone left to record because I use up all my storage, but I said, all right, I'm going to start filming her just in case she tries to accuse me of saying something that I didn't, and I'm going to film until my storage runs out. That's when I started the video. I wish I would have thought to start it sooner, and if I ever encounter a situation like this again, you bet your butt that I'm going to start recording as soon as I see it. I understand this family is hyper-focused on the fact that the punch didn't happen, and I can assure you that all three of us who saw the punch are certain in what we saw, 100% certain. However, if you take the punch out of it, everything else that we saw as well, including the intensity of the spank, was not corporal punishment either. And I can assure you, if it were just a spanking, I would not have personally said anything. As a child who was spanked, I do not agree with it and I will never do it. However, I understand that that is legal in this state, and I will say this. No one ever wants to be the person who makes the phone call that potentially gets a child taken from their family unless they are 100% sure. So I can assure you that it was not just a spanking that we witnessed. Now it's time to take some accountability on my part in things. Firstly, when I posted the video, I hadn't posted on any form of social media in years. This was my first TikTok video, and I did not know that blurring a child's face was an option. I should have blurred that child's face. That child in the video is not even the child who was hit, and I made sure to clarify that in my caption, but I should have blurred that child's face, and I am sorry to the family. I didn't know how, and if I ever do post a video like this again, I promise you I will figure out how to blur the face, although I hope to never encounter a situation like this again. I know that people are saying that there's no reasonable expectation of privacy in a public space and that the parents had already posted plenty of pictures of their children, but that doesn't make it okay. So I do apologize to the family, and I will do better next time. The other thing that I want to take accountability for is that when the father said, "Do you even have kids? If you don't have kids, you won't understand," I replied, "Yes, I do, and I've never laid a finger on them." I did that because at that point, I thought that he was going to leave the scene, and I was trying to keep him engaged, and it was a split-second decision, and I thought that if I had said no, which is the truth, that I would be dismissed. I know that some people are in support of me saying that I consider fur babies to be children, and that other people do as well, but I shouldn't have said an untrue statement, and it was a split-second decision to try to keep him talking and keep him on the scene until the police got there. I did make sure to post the whole truth and nothing but the truth in my caption and explained all of these things, but I did want to make sure that I was providing all the information needed in this video. To end it, I will say that I've seen a lot of gore in this lifetime, and nothing has ever stuck with me the way that seeing that terrified child stuck with me. It's sat heavy on my heart, and at the end of the day, I just posted this to try to get some type of public accountability going. I do not think that we should be threatening this family. In fact, I encourage all of you who are sending threats to instead send helpful information. We can help this family. We can send them the evidence that is against all types of corporal punishment, specifically about spanking, since that's the only thing that they admitted to. We can help them, and we can be kind, and we can hopefully create some type of public education about the dangers of doing this and hopefully not normalize this type of behavior. While I'm considering whether or not to keep this account, I will answer any questions below. Please post kindly. I will also answer any questions on their follow-up post that they did create. There were plenty of inaccuracies in that I'd like to address. If people have questions, I will tag somebody who screen recorded it before they deleted it, and you can go ahead and view that and ask me any questions below. Just please do so kindly. Before I hop off, I just want to reiterate one more time, let's not harass or threaten this family. That honestly is doing exactly what we're upset with them for doing, so please move forward with kindness. I did also want to mention that in my video at the time, all I had known were us 3 witnesses that had seen what we had seen. Afterwards, I came to find out that there were 2 regulars of the store in the parking lot who had witnessed it and multiple employees. That's why I updated in my caption with the correct information that I just didn't know at the time of filming the video. Okay. Final thought, I am somebody who is very confrontation averse, and I just wanted to address the reason that I seemed so heated in the video was because I felt that the family was being very dismissive of what we had seen, as well as telling us that we had ruined their shopping trip and to take my happy ass back to my car. I did get a little heated because I feel like when I am defending somebody else that I am able to stand up for them in that type of way. I'm definitely not like that when it comes to standing up for myself, but maybe that's one of my good qualities.
I can empathize, heat of the moment. You want to get this out there so that people know and have confidence to be able to intercept and stuff. But honestly, I would be really, really mad too. I would be really, really mad too. I would be mad if somebody just saw me in public and took a picture and they didn't even know it was my kid, but I saw one of my kid's hair strands poking out and it was going everywhere. I would be mortified. So seriously mortified. I literally have nightmares. I have very vivid dreams, and sometimes I have dreams that I have posted my children online, and then I wake up and I'm frantically searching my social media, just please tell me I didn't do that. Please tell me I didn't do that. Yeah, so I get that. That's completely mortifying, but also could have been completely avoided if y'all just didn't hit your kid. There is an idea for you. Just don't do it. But that's essentially all that we have as far as information right now. I am definitely going to be keeping a close eye on this because it needs to be investigated. I'm glad that CPS is involved. I don't care about the police officer's freaking 2 to 5 minute investigation. I genuinely hope through this CPS investigation that y'all are forced to take parenting classes and that y'all are forced to take them seriously. Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people don't like it when I say this. I don't have grace for parents who spank their children when they know better. There definitely are cases where, that's genuinely all somebody knows. And then when they're presented with new information, they're like, oh my gosh, why have I not been doing this whole time? Oh my gosh, I have a lot of grace and empathy for those people. So I want to let you guys know, if you're watching this, I really hope if you are a parent who spanks as a form of discipline, that this video could have opened your eyes and changed your mind a little bit. I hope that maybe you saw yourself in these people and realized how foolish and crazy it is to have to jump through that many hoops. So I didn't leave a mark. Well, the police said it was fine. The lady officer flirted with my husband, so clearly everything's fine. I can't. Give me a break, please. And you know what else is crazy about this? Is that they're both allegedly in the military and corporal punishment is not allowed, I think, just on base, but still. So if that had happened on base, then there would be repercussions. So I really have to know, is it based off of law? Is it based off of whether it's morally okay or not? Because you're okay with hitting your child not on base, but if you're on base, you can't hit your child. So how are you disciplining then? It's very much so lazy. You are ignoring the fact that you are causing psychological damage to your child. And yes, physical pain and damage as well. I don't care. Just because the skin did not bruise does not mean that there is not at least a little bit of damage. You hit something enough times, even gently, and it will be sore. It will hurt. You do not have to hit your children to get your children to learn something or listen. What you do have to do is have an immense amount of patience and come to terms with the fact that it sucks and it's inconvenient, but it's so freaking worth it. Let me tell you. All of those days where you sit there and you ask yourself, like, why am I even doing this? What's the point of even talking through these things when it feels like they don't even listen? Because it just keeps happening again and again and again. I'm telling you, eventually you're going to see them start to do that behavior or be in the middle of that behavior and come to you for help. You're going to see them start to have a mental breakdown and they're going to run to you instead of running away and screaming. And you are going to see them on their own get frustrated, and you are going to see them. And it's not going to happen all of the time. It's not going to happen most of the time, but those little things that you can see are enough to keep you going, and you do not get those same results hitting your child. Being patient, coming to terms with the fact that it's not fun, it's loud, it's overstimulating, it is frustrating. You need to be okay with that, and you need to be patient enough to sit through it and keep going. You have to set the example. When you are frustrated, even if you want, they just don't even want to take a deep breath. If you know you have those little eyes on you, you take a deep breath. You name your feeling. Oh, I'm frustrated. Oh, that makes me really sad. Name your feelings so that your children are comfortable naming theirs around you, so that your children can watch you, observe you, look at your body language, your face, look at the circumstance that just happened, and then they hear you say what emotion you're feeling, and they're like, oh, word, that's what that feeling is. It's hard, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it to be a parent and have my child not fear if they're going to get in trouble for making a mistake, let alone hit. It is so rewarding as a parent to know that I have children who are willing to come to me when they make a mistake. So to wrap everything up, I am definitely going to keep tabs on this situation, which will be quite easy because I am local and I have a connection. So I will definitely be keeping tabs on this and letting you guys know what comes out of this because I think it sets a really good example. I think that this is a really good precedent to set that, like, don't be so comfortable hurting your kids that you're doing this in public and then getting mad when somebody is filming evidence to protect your child. And I also hope it sets the precedent that you should intercept. If you see something, you should always say something because a child's safety and well-being will always be more important than your comfort as an adult. It is our duty to protect marginalized and oppressed groups of people, and the most marginalized and oppressed group of people is children, and yet somehow they're the most hated. They're the most disrespected. People don't want kids in apartment buildings because they're too loud. People don't want kids on airplanes because they're inconvenient. People don't want kids in restaurants. And we wonder why this continues. Nobody is standing up for the kids. Nobody is demanding the respect and for society to view them as human beings, just smaller and underdeveloped. And so it continues. Because kids are annoying. Ugh. Kids are so annoying, and they're gross and they're loud, and it continues. We turn a blind eye, and it cannot continue. I really hope that this is a wake-up call for this family. I hope that CPS makes them take parenting classes. I'm not going to sit here and say I hope that they get their kids taken away. That's traumatizing for those kids. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I think people forget that a child's life is not like magically happy as soon as they're taken away. Foster care is traumatic, and it should always, always, always be a last resort. If you can mend the family and heal the family and get the family on a better track, that should come before anything else. Children don't want to be separated from their parents. They have a biological trust in them and a need to be around them. And it should only be like last case scenario to force a child out of that when there are things that can be done to help shape a family in a better direction. And I hope that's what happens to them. Because it's not even like they got online and was like, oh, I'm so mortified and embarrassed. Like that was seriously like probably worst moment as a parent, and we will do better. This is what we're going to do to change it. No, instead, they wanted to be like, yeah, this is what we did. This is how we did it. This is why it's right. And also the police are on our side. So screw you. No, I hope that they get humbled. And not because I don't like them and I think that they're bad people. Well, I hope that they get humbled for the sake of their child. Their child deserves parents who change. Set that example for your kids. Imagine they take these parenting classes or whatever else they might need to get this all sorted out, and they actually take it serious. And now their children get to witness, oh, even adults don't know everything. So it's okay that I don't know everything. It's okay that I get help. Like if I need help, it's okay if I get help because mommy and daddy got help. Mommy and daddy were doing things that hurt me physically and emotionally. Broke that trust, broke that bond, made me live in fear and shame, but mommy and daddy got help. And they took it serious, and I can see changes in the home, which then motivate me to make the changes that I need because I copy you. I hope that's what happens. I really, really do. And I really hope if you are a parent who spanks, that this video could get you to change your mind. I hope that I've been able to convince you that although it's way more inconvenient and stressful and harder, it is so much better to be patient, to shut your mouth and listen, to set that example, to take those deep breaths, to name your emotion, as silly as it seems sometimes. It makes the world of a difference. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. Like I said, I'll be keeping my eye on this and see what comes out of this. I hope it's a good case scenario for the sake of the family as a whole, but especially the children. And obviously I'll definitely let you guys know if there's anything else that, needs to be reported on. But I really hope that this was an inspiring video for you guys, either to be able to be confident enough to stand up for children in public, or if you're a parent who spanks, to find the confidence in yourself enough to choose that it's okay to change. Just because you've done it for 7 years does not mean you have to keep doing it. And just because you had did it when they were a kid and they're grown now does not mean that you don't have to address it. You can still apologize. They may not accept it, but you can still take accountability for it. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so, so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And as always, I'm really interested to see your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. And I will see you guys on the next one.